As we told you earlier, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan met with President Trump today at the White House to talk about the sometimes difficult relations between the two nations and the war on terror. A short time ago, I spoke with the Prime Minister and began by asking about his Oval Office visit with the President.
I was very happy with the meeting. I found President Trump refreshing in the sense that completely someone who's a straightforward man, no mixing of, no juggling with words, just came out straight with things. And not just me, my whole delegation, we loved the meeting.
A lot of your meeting today dealt with Afghanistan and the future there. At one point, the president, talking to the press while you were there, said this.
If we wanted to fight a war in Afghanistan and win it, I could win that war in a week. I just don't want to kill 10 million people. Does that make sense to you? I don't want to kill 10 million people. I have plans on Afghanistan that if I wanted to win that war, Afghanistan would be wiped off the face of the earth. It would be gone. It would be over literally in 10 days. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that route.
Were you surprised by that kind of formulation?
Well, I guess what the president meant was that, if you had a scorched earth policy where they went, a military machine went from one side of Afghanistan to the other with aeroplanes. I mean, the U.S. has the greatest firepower in the history of mankind. But clearly, I mean, that would be devastating. And already people in Afghanistan have suffered 4 decades of conflict. The number of people died in these 4 decades. And so the last thing Afghanistan needs is more violence, and it needs peace. The Taliban should become a part of the political process, and so then you would have a government which will represent the people of Afghanistan.
Have negotiations with the Taliban been productive, sufficiently productive in your mind?
I think they've been the most productive so far. I mean, up to date, they have gone the furthest in sort of for the two sides coming together.
Former Defense Secretary and General Jim Mattis, I interviewed him back before he left his position, and I asked him about Afghanistan. He said this:
if we leave 20-odd of the most dangerous terrorist groups in the world centered in that region, and we walk out of there, then we know what will happen. Our intelligence services are very specific that we will be under attack in a number of years.
What do you say to that? Concern that if the U.S., even after all this time, and there's a hunger to leave, that if we leave ourselves vulnerable again?
The U.S. has no issues of Taliban ever attacking any country outside Afghanistan, simply because Taliban is a localized movement. It's not some international terrorist movement. Ideally, if there is a stable government in Afghanistan, which a broad-based political government after the elections, that would be the best guarantee that there would not be any groups that would threaten the United States or the Western countries.
There's just people who look at the Taliban and say they're just not there yet. I mean, in your country just yesterday, there was a suicide bombing that the Pakistani Taliban said they were behind. As we're negotiating with the Taliban, they're still initiating these attacks.
The danger is, of course, for Afghanistan and Pakistan, is that if we do not have some sort of a peace settlement in Afghanistan, the danger is of ISIS. And ISIS is more of a danger not just to us, to Pakistan and Afghanistan, but actually to other countries too.
You mentioned in the Oval Office that there may be some announcement about others who are being held. What happened?
There are two, I think 2 or 3 American, one Australian who have been kidnapped, who've been held in Afghanistan, and Pakistan is playing its part, and I think we are